What up, IDS Mob? Welcome to the Introvert Dating Success Show. And today, we're going to be answering a question from a guy who's been dating a woman for the last 6 months. And even though they're still dating, she's saying that there's things he did that has caused her to feel the losing of a spark that they once had. And he's wondering what he needs to do to get it back. And by the way, this guy wrote me sometime last week. As I tell you guys always, if you join the Introvert Dating Success Membership Academy, I will answer you within 24 to 48 hours because you guys are my top priority. Otherwise, I'll get to your question on one of these videos. And so I'm going to answer this guy's question today. This episode is brought to you by the Introvert Dating Success Membership Academy. It is the Netflix of dating advice with hundreds of hours of dating advice ready to listen to. You can get a 2-day free trial right now at introvertdatingsuccess.com. You can also go there for one-on-one coaching by clicking on the coaching tab. All right. So let's get into this guy's message. By the way, this is a long message, guys, so strap in because the story gets interesting and I'm going to be stopping at parts to give advice. Here we go. He says, "Hi, Harry. I appreciate you helping all the men around the world in their dating lives." Well, you're welcome. I used to have it hard, and so I just don't want to see you guys struggle. That's why I do this. He says, "I just met a girl, and I spoke to her directly, and texting started. She asked me to come over for a cycling evening, and I went. A week later, I got the date. Now we have been dating for 6 months." So I'm noticing off the bat, he says they've been dating for 6 months. They haven't actually proclaimed it a relationship yet, which is going to be very important to the story. He says, "After our first date, things were fine as this was my first relationship and I really liked her." Stop. This is really the first major mistake that he made that a lot of guys make, which is after the first date, he's already calling this a relationship. He's already considering this person he's with to be, it feels like it should be a relationship because they got along so great that he's going to call it one. But that mind frame of already thinking in your head that the girl you're just dating is one you're actually in a relationship with can cause a lot of problems. It can cause you to rush feelings. It can cause you to overextend yourself. And it can cause you to put pressure on her to make this be a relationship to her as well. It takes a woman 2 to 3 months to solidify her feelings for you, at which point she will come to you and ask you for a relationship. If you do not allow that to happen and you're already treating this as if you're in a relationship, then A, it's most likely to not happen, and B, more often what will happen is they'll feel too much pressure and start to ghost you to where they pull away, and then you're wondering what the heck happened. So guys, I don't care how great you feel this woman is doing when you're going on these the first few months of dating. You should not be calling it a relationship, even if it's in your head. You should be thinking as if this is a research project. Oh, this was our first date. I had a good time. I want to research further. You're not making any definitives yet on your feelings for her or what you're trying to title this as, because there should be no titles in those first 2 to 3 months until she comes and asks you for one. Continuing, he says, "I was quite the needy guy." Well, yeah, because you already thought you were in a relationship. But at the beginning itself, I wanted to hook up with her, because I don't know what YouTube's going to do if I say sex too much. He says, "After the first date, I went to see her and spent the night with her and her friends in a public place." So it's another mistake is that early on in the dating process, guys, it needs to be you and her and nobody else, because there's always a risk that her friends are going to end up judging you in a way that could then make her second guess if she really wants to be with you. And you don't need that kind of pressure. Not that it happened in this case, but again, you don't want to be putting out anything or doing things that could lessen your odds of you two getting together. So bringing friends and family on dates should not do that. If she suggests it, you should say, "Hey, I want to see you, but right now I want to get to know you and not the other people around you. So if you want to plan a date where it can just be me and you, I'm totally fine with that." And you're in your right to say that, because you need to be able to stand up for what your boundaries are when you're dating somebody. And women want to hear that stuff. And sometimes women will suggest stuff to you that they're hoping that you'll say no to because they want to see if you'll say no to them versus always just letting them get away with stuff. Very important to note, guys. Continuing. So he says, "We had our first kiss there and she was eager." That's great because you want the woman to have that feeling of eagerness, that desire of wanting to be with you and wanting more from you. That doesn't necessarily mean that she needs to get it, but that means that if she has that feeling there, she's going to be wanting of it, and then she'll start doing things that are going to allow her to experience more of those things. Anyway, he says, "We had our first kiss there and she was eager. Then I wanted more, and I asked if she was a virgin and said I wanted to hook up. Even though she didn't like it at first, She ended up spending the night with me in a room, and we hooked up. So I'll say this. I think the method in which he went about trying to ask for the hookup it was very, very direct. And it's not like the worst thing in the world, because there are many guys that want to do stuff and they'll just try to passively hint at it all night. But there's also ways to be flirty with it, to see it, that'll be able to help you figure out if the woman's comfortable enough with it to where she feels like it's her decision. Because the thing is this, whether she goes along with it or not, the best mode of operandi is to make it to where she is comfortable enough to where she feels almost like it's her idea. Because what you don't want is for her to later say, well, I didn't really want to go along with it, but I felt pressure and yada, yada, yada. Because then that turns into whole hookup charges and stuff that you don't really need or want. It comes into this feeling of like her thinking that, well, you're just in it for this thing, which again, we're going to get into later, versus if you make it in a way where it feels as though she's actually agreeing to the thing because she wants to do it and not because she feels like she's going to disappoint you. That's the better route to go. So kudos to the guy for getting the hookup, but like considering all he's going to have to deal with later, was it really worth trying to force it so much on that first or second date? And we'll see as we go along. So he says, so they hooked up, and then he says, then I checked on her the next day, and she told me that she sees me as a guy who just wanted to get into her pants. But I wasn't about it and have liked her from the beginning. So I got scared that I was going to lose her again after 2 dates. Then I just kept going to her, being needier, saying to her that I am not that guy, and kept asking for dates. So here's the interesting thing about that guy is that right now you don't have a leg to stand on, because she's saying to you, I feel like you're a guy that just wants sex. You're saying no. But you were also on that first or second date saying, hey, we should do it. Hey, I want to do it. And I don't know if you're into looking at context cues or looking at women to see what their body language is to see if they actually want to do a thing or not. But if you were saying you wanted to hook up and she had body language that indicated that she was kind of not cool with it and you were still ignoring that body language, yeah, to her it looks like you're a guy that just wants to hook up because you were ignoring maybe some of the subtle signals she was sending, or maybe some of the big signals she was sending that indicated that she really wasn't comfortable doing this at this time, all right? And so if you ignore those, then she's not going to feel like you're connecting with her because you're not reading the room and really feeling what she actually needs and wants in those moments, okay? Also to the point, she says you got scared. Let's see, it says, but I was also blah, blah, blah. Okay, so yeah. So the thing is this, because of that, you can't just now say to her, no, I wasn't about it. No, I wasn't about it. No, I want you more than just that. Because what you basically was doing is you're saying, I don't want you just for that. But then you're turning around saying, but hey, can we also do it some more? So every time you're doing these things, you're basically you're giving her mixed signals about what your actual message is. And you're not making her feel as if you're not about just hooking up. Now, what's interesting is she's saying that as if she's complaining, right? But in the same token, she's also going along with the hookups. I have yet to see in part of the story where he suggests that they hook up and she says no. And this goes into the theory that I have all the time, which is that ultimately women want the hookups to be your fault. So it's this weird thing of like, they need to be comfortable with it to where they feel like hooking up is their idea. But then there also needs to be the narrative of, but ultimately it's still your fault that it's happening because she doesn't want it, especially in most societies, like this guy's writing me from Sri Lanka. I can imagine it's probably not the best thing to be a woman that's being able to go around saying, yeah, I want to hook up and yeah, I got the hookup because I asked for it. So they're going to probably do a thing where they're making it look like you're the one that's setting up to where it can happen. And that's not bad as long as you already know and can feel that she's also into it. This is something simple as like when she's saying she wants to do some stuff, when you're saying you want to do some stuff, that she's not backing away or fighting you too much on it, okay? So she's bringing up this concern that you're only in it for the thing, but she's also hooking up, which I know now makes it a mixed signal for you, okay? But ultimately, if she's saying that to you, then here's what I found, is that the easiest way to make a woman stop with the you're only in this for the hookup rhetoric is to take the hookup off the table. And I've done this several times with women where, because I'm great on first and second dates to where usually by the first or second date, the women we're able to hook up. And then sometimes women will do this thing where they've hooked up really early on with a guy and then they're realizing, oh crap, am I being judged? Was that too soon? I don't really know this guy enough, so is he gonna just use me for my body? I feel some kind of way about that, it's weird. And now that I've hooked up with him, is he only going to take me out because a hookup at the end is promised? Like if it's just about that for him versus who I actually am and my personality and blah, 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 then I don't wanna be in it. And so you have to take those fears away from her, and you can't do it by trying to overly convince her that, no, I'm not about that. So this is what you do instead, right? And this is a power move, because what I found is this is actually also calling women's bluff, all right? So she comes to you and says, hey, so I think that it just feels like it's just solely about sex, and, I think you just only want me for the hookup. Your response, you look her dead in the face, and you have to mean this when you say it, because you have to mean it. Look to her in the face and say, well, if that's the way you feel about it, we can just take hookups off the table. Because ultimately, I want you to know that I'm in this for you. And so if that's a thing that is blocking you from feeling that, let's just take it off the table. We'll get back to it later. Now, I've done this with quite a few women. And without fail, the immediate response I get back when I say that I, as the guy, am willing to take hookups off the table is, oh, no, that's okay, no, that's okay, fine, okay, I just wanted to make sure that you were in this for me and not just for that, but that's no, we can totally keep doing it, that's fine, like, forget I said anything. Now, why is that? Because at that point, she's never had a guy in her entire life say that they are willing to actually not hook up with her and still go out with her. And at that point, she realizes, hey, oh crap, this guy actually is in this for me, and then also she has to go into her subconscious mind and think, but the hookups have been really good. Do I actually not want to do this? He said he would take it off the table, so I feel better now, but I don't want to actually stop doing it. So then she has to come back to you and say, oh, you know what? My bad. Never mind. I see that you really are about me. Let's continue on doing what we're doing. Because ultimately, women also like hooking up too, oftentimes more than us, all right? So then he goes into the thing of he's getting needier and needier because he's feeling insecure and he's worried about losing her. And this is where I say, dude, you got to get a lot better at being indifferent to outcomes. I think especially for men that either haven't dated a lot of women or don't currently feel like they'd be able to get other women if they lose the one they're currently going after, it can be very easy to want to do more to ensure that she's going to stay around, because you're thinking, I got to do more to show her more that I like her, so she's not going to leave me. But you got to be indifferent to that, because you could do all the things in the world for this woman and she still leave you. But if you're indifferent to the outcome, and indifferent, by the way, means basically it's not that you don't care, but it's just the understanding that ultimately people are going to make the best decision for themselves in terms of their relationships. And so some women you'll be with and they'll decide they don't want to be with you anymore. And then some women you'll be with and you'll decide you don't want to be with them anymore. And you got to realize there's other people that are out there. We're a planet now of 8 billion people. If this one woman does not work out, there will be others that come into the picture in your life. Trust me. But if you're so focused on this one that you can't see that, yeah, this one could work out, and I hope it does. But if not, you know what? I'll find somebody else. Then you're always going to be a guy that is going to be needy, because you're going to be constantly trying to do everything you can to get the loving attention of this woman. And dude, you got to cool out. And also too, when you're needy, what happens is you start throwing everything you can at the woman, and you don't give her the space to actually come towards you. So if you're noticing that the woman's delaying becoming your girlfriend, for example, or isn't suggesting dates, for example, it could be because you're doing so much that she already knows that, you know what, he's got this handled. He's gonna come to me. I ain't gotta do nothing. And you need to give a woman space to realize that she too needs to be working in this relationship, or else you'll leave. And that's where also being indifferent comes from, because you need to be at a point in your life where you're like, hey, if she's not doing right by me, I have no problem stepping out of this relationship and going to find somebody else who will. And women that know you don't have that will walk all over you and take their precious time to get into a relationship with you. Continuing, he says, she did come for dates and I never stopped asking for hookups, irrespective of her consent, and we ended up having hookups. Then she started to pull back and it gave me hard times. Well, yeah, because again, you still haven't quelched the little voice in her head that says, but he's just in this for hookups. And until you do that, yeah, she'll come around and hook up, but it's she's still gonna feel like pulling back, because part of her is still gonna be but I want him ultimately to like the totality of me and not just the hookup. And as much as you're quote unquote saying that you're about that being with her more than just that, if she's not feeling it, then your words mean nothing. She has to feel that you actually mean the things you're saying. Continuing, he says, so I kept visiting her, asking if she was upset with me and trying to convince her that I was the one for her. Dude, for one, you shouldn't be going to a woman and constantly asking her, hey, so are you upset? Are you okay? For one, most women, if they're upset, they'll just tell you. But also, relationships are supposed to be fun things. And the reason, honestly, most of you guys lose women is because of this. She meets you in a state where you're just a fun, jovial guy. You're not taking anything super serious. You're all about just the joyness of life and being around her. And then somehow after a month or two, as guys start seeing the relationship get more serious, they think they have to get more serious too. And they start try to have these deep conversations. And what is your life like? And are you upset with me? And what's going on? And you're taking the fun away from the woman now, because now you're making it super serious. You're asking her a bunch of super serious questions. You're trying to ask her about her super serious emotions. And women are in their heads all day about that stuff. When you come around, they want to be with a fun guy that's going to take them out of it. When you're asking questions like this, you're just keeping her in serious mode. She doesn't want to be there. Okay? So if she's upset, she'll let you know. If you're constantly asking her day after day, hey, are you upset? Hey, are you still upset at me? Hey, are you mad at me? That's not a fun place to be. And at the same time, you're also manifesting and saying to her by projection that she should be upset with you. She should be mad. She should be angry. And you're doing that to her subconsciously. Why would you want to do that? Like, again, if she's upset about something, she'll come to you and say, hey, so we need to talk, or hey, so this is what's up in my head. Because women love to talk about that stuff, especially the guys that they're close to. Continuing, he says, then I realized that it was not working and wanted to know about these situations. So I referred to your videos and a few other videos of other coaches. Then I realized what I was doing wrong. So I made changes and a few good signs were there. That's great. Now I am doing good, and she says that she is not feeling guilty, having hooked up with me even, and she becomes vulnerable with me compared to earlier times. And that's good. I'm glad you were insightful enough to, listen to what me and whoever else you're watching said and recognize, oh crap, I need to turn this ship around. Because you will see what happens is, as you become a more patient guy, a more confident guy, you start to really look at what her needs are and assess them, and also realize that you're not the worst guy ever for, occasionally wanting your alone time, for not always asking her these needy questions, that you're going to get the results that you want. And that's what we want, is that we want you to recognize that when you make these subtle changes here and there, you're going to actually get women that see that and start to respond positively. And then when that starts happening, though, what you don't want to do is reverse back to the things you were doing before. Now, if you join my Introvert Dating Success Membership Academy and you look at the Top Secret Dating Blueprint course, for example, we have whole lessons on, okay, great, once you are, what things should you keep repeating once you start to get into a good groove with the woman? How can you talk about, situations and relationships that are hard without coming across as too hard? And she allows her to see that you're still open, but you're not being that needy guy or being that guy that's going to just, get walked all over also, okay? And again, you get a 2-day free trial when you join this thing, so check it out. Check out the Top Secret Dating Blueprint, the Smart Digital Dating Program, the list of interviews we have with other dating experts. It'll definitely help you out. Continuing. He says, she disrespected me in conversations and hurt me badly earlier, but not now. She even initiates conversations now. She also laughs at my jokes also. And that's great. And also, when women really like you, they'll laugh at stuff you're saying that's not even funny or that would normally be corny as heck. And the more that a woman is laughing at the things that you're saying, I mean, not that, not the serious stuff, but just like you're saying random semi-funny stuff and she's like busting the gut, that's a good indicator of, how comfortable she actually is with you. Because women that aren't laughing at you at all are like very tense and looking at your every single word and what you're saying, and, and that's not a good place to be. But the more she's being laughing and jovial, it means that A, you're being loose around her, which means you're not being needy, which means she can now fall into her feminine, and feminine energy is wanting things to be joyful and also thinking that the guy that she's with is like the best thing on earth, which is going to make her laugh as just a response. Like, she's not even trying to consciously laugh at your stuff. She's doing it because her body's just joyfully being around you. Continuing, he says, but when it comes to intimacy, she never initiates. She never talks about the dates we go on and how she feels about it, even though she says she really likes to hang out with me. So this is a thing too, especially, I don't know what Sri Lankan culture is like. I know what culture is like here, and I've been the beneficiary of dating women from other cultures. In many other cultures, they are looking for men to lead like all things. Here in America, it's like that still to some extent, but like we're putting women to go suggest dates, pay for meals, et cetera, et cetera. In the bedroom, they'll take charge and whatnot. So I can say this to say that you can't take that as an indicator that she's not interested in hooking up with you. It might very well be a cultural thing where she was raised in a certain household to where you just wait for the guy to say, I want to do it, and then you just be ready at his beck and call. So her thing could be, she's doing her part by just being ready whenever you suggest hooking up, all right? Now, if that's not a dynamic that you want, then that's going to have to be expressed, And it's something as simple as saying, hey, you know what? I love when I'm able to, create an experience for us in the bedroom. It's really, really great. And you know what? I think that we're both together in that situation, like really good at it. And you know what, babe? I have a fantasy of, I make the decisions for us in these bedroom situations, this and that, and I want to know like what things you'd like to do, what things have you thought about, and then I want to have a scenario where, you know, you come to me sometimes and say, hey, let's do some stuff. Like you could say very specific, like, hey, you know, sometimes if I'm in the kitchen and you want to walk by and like slap my butt, no harm, no foul. If I'm just lying in the bed watching TV and you come in and you feel like you're in the mood, you could like, you know, jump on top of me while I'm watching TV and just start like kissing on my neck. I'll definitely know that you want to do some stuff. But the point is, you can't be afraid to express or talk about it, because so many guys get into this mode of being timid and saying, hey, so like, you know, I was just hoping maybe one day, like and notice how my body is, like I'm down here and I'm saying, hey, so like, I'm like, and I'm crunching up almost as if I'm afraid to ask for the thing. Women don't want you to be afraid. Women want you to be bold and take charge. And that also means being bold enough to take charge and say, hey, babe, you need to take charge. Okay? Some women don't even know that you want them to actually be the ones to initiate, because again, women have been taught a lot of stuff about if you come onto a guy too strong, you're being an SOUT, you're being a 304, and all these things that are like negative when women try to go for the hookup. So recognize there's a lot of stigma there. You got to assure her you're totally fine. You're not going to judge her if she tries to come to you for some stuff from time to time. But also, again, you guys aren't boyfriend and girlfriend yet, which we'll get to. She may feel as though if you guys are in an official relationship, there are certain things she's not going to do. And I'll go ahead and get to that stuff. So, she also says she never wants to introduce me to distant friends, and she only introduces me to her close friends. Her excuse is that she doesn't want to explain herself to them as I am not her boyfriend. She never arranged dates or asked me for a date after the first time she wanted to see me, and her excuse is that she is not earning enough to do so. Then I told her how important it is for me to arrange dates, and it is okay if she can't pay for them, just arrange and I will pay. Then I told her that at least she can surprise me with a surprise visit like I do for her. Her response was that I was expecting too much, and those should be expected from my girlfriend, and she is not my girlfriend yet. So she doesn't reciprocate in this kind of manner. I understand that. Okay, I'll finish reading the rest. She says she doesn't feel like doing it, and she still doesn't. And recently she said to me that she really liked the push she had at the beginning, but that spark was killed by some stupid mistakes I made. For example, I suppose pushing for hookups so hard. However, she says that she is now certain that I am not a man who wants to get into her pants, and she thinks that I'm a very good partner for her. But she says the spark is in an uncertain state and she is confused about it. She says when we go on a trip and return home, she misses me and it annoys her sometimes. And she doesn't want to have stress along with her family problems and other obligations. When she said this stuff, I just asked for a break and she was upset and said if I want it, it was okay, but she doesn't want a break from me. So I am also confused here and I really like her. You should know, I just said that I love her at the very beginning and I have told her that she's the one and I want to be the man for her. Oh, good Lord. Oh, we'll get to all this. Moreover, she always keeps saying that because I love her already, I do sweet stuff for her, but she is not doing some stuff even if she feels like doing them, as it'll leave me devastated if she leaves me one day. She says that she could fake them, but she wants to feel like she really wants to do them. I really want to know how I should handle the situation, how I can make that spark rekindle in her solidly. Please help me with the situation. I find it impossible to afford as much as I am a university student. You are my only hope to win her, and I am ready to take on the challenge. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here. But basically, so early on, so the part where she was saying like, oh, well, I haven't done this because I'm not your girlfriend yet, this is that. So normally, that would indicate to me that she is actually wanting this guy to have the what are we conversation. Because if a girl's saying, well, I would do this, but I'm not your girlfriend yet, and I want to do this thing, but I'm not your girlfriend yet, then the next thought would be like, I'd be like, so are you saying you want to be my girlfriend? Because we can have a conversation about that. Because women that hint like this are typically trying to hint at, I want this guy to see me as the girlfriend. And so that's what I would normally say. But then we get to the stuff she's talking about where she says that she really liked him in the beginning. She felt a spark, but then it was killed by some mistakes that he made. And he made a lot of mistakes. But the biggest mistake that he actually made early on was after date one, telling this woman, hey, I love you. Because what I tell you guys, I said it in this video too, it takes 2 to 3 months for the woman to solidify her feelings. And this is an important lesson for men, okay? Is that ultimately, your feelings do not matter. I mean, they matter in the sense that you want to feel stuff for her and you want to like her, so you're going to do right by her. But in terms of the knowledge of feelings, her knowing your feelings in this dating scenario does not matter nearly as much as what she feels her feelings are. And the biggest mistake most guys make is they think after 1 or 2 dates, because they have all these feelings, which by the way is driven by testosterone and lust, because you don't know her enough to actually love her, but whatever, you expressing that to her and thinking you have these strong feelings, you're thinking, well, since I have them, she needs to know, so that way she'll be ready to jump on board with me also. And you're only taking into account your feelings and where you're at on your feelings journey for her. You're not taking into account where she needs to be in order to have those same feelings. But you're thinking, I want to be truthful and honest, so I'm going to tell her I love her. Even though, again, you don't, but you're saying, I love her. And now you see the problems that arise. Because ever since he said that, ever since you said to her on date 1 or 2 that you love her, all she's felt from that one statement is pressure. She's felt pressure that she had to be in a relationship. She felt pressure to have to feel certain things. She's felt pressure to have to hook up with you, all because you brought the whole thing about I'm in love with you and she wasn't there yet. And now it's harder for her to get to that step because she's felt this big pressure the whole time to have to be there. And when a woman does not feel like choosing you as a partner or feeling love for you is a choice, but it's an obligation, it can make it very hard for her to want to get into a relationship. Because by month 3, if you're doing all the right things, a woman should be clamoring and coming to you saying, hey, I want to be in a relationship. The fact that you're at month 6 and that hasn't happened means that you've been applying too much pressure to this woman. You're having conversations that are too serious with her. You're constantly asking her how she's feeling about things and if she's upset about things. And you're constantly trying to nitpick at problems. Oh, you don't ask me out enough. Oh, you don't talk about our dates, yada, yada, yada. Pressure, pressure, pressure mixed with not having fun conversations equals a woman that does not yet feel like she is ready to be in a relationship with you. So, if you were to ask me personally, hey, how would I have handled this? For one, I would have started off this completely different. I would have been seeing her once a week. Go to the website, sign up for the academy. I have a whole program there, Top Secret Dating Blueprint. The first thing I tell you guys is that you want to pace out your dates. Not the first thing, but in that program I mentioned, you want to pace out your dates once a week. You don't talk about heavy subjects. You keep it light and funny. You make sure that you're talking to her and you're keeping it jovial. You're talking about all positive things. You have fun with her on these dates. You get a good hookup every once in a while. And when you have the hookup, you're not trying to ask her, hey, so how was it good for you? You're not forcing her to do the hookup. You're making it feel as though it's her choice. Like, these are easy things, guy. But you're 6 months in. You've already messed that up. Okay, great. So that does not mean, though, that you cannot salvage this. Okay? But what it's going to really take is going to take, one, a lot of patience and pulling away a bit. Right now, you're too focused in on this girl. And the fact she's boldly saying to you stuff like, well, I don't want to do these certain things because I just don't feel like it, yada, yada, yada. That means that you're not giving her enough space to come to you to want to do these things. Because the woman that really likes you and realizes there's a chance of losing you is going to come to you and suggest you guys do things because she knows that's important in order to keep you in your good graces, okay? So I'd say scale down how much you're asking her out. Scale it down to once a week. I don't need you having any more serious conversation with this girl about nothing. You shouldn't be having any relationship talks, any kind of talks about, are we going to get together in a serious capacity? You shouldn't be meeting her friends right now because she's right. Women don't want to bring you around their friends if they don't think the relationship is going to last and if it's solid. You don't have a title on this thing yet. So realistically, this thing could end at any day now, at which point she'd have to go back to those same friends and say, hey, remember so-and-so that I was talking to? Well, we're not together anymore. Oh, and that's a conversation women don't want to have. So yeah, she's in her right to think that you're not going to be around any friends or family of hers until you guys are in a space where she full-heartedly believes that you two are going to be together long-term, okay? But that's not going to happen if you're around her too much. So again, scale it back to asking her out once a week. When you go on these dates, keep it light, keep it funny, keep it a cool 2 to 3 hours tops. For the outside date itself. If you guys end up hooking up after that, then it might stretch a little bit longer, but don't be trying to stay overnight. Don't let her stay overnight. Really keep this as if you want to be a flash in the pan. You want to be the person. This is how you do it too, because here's the thing, is that every time she sees you, she needs to be excited to see you. And that only happens if you're building up anticipation. If you're talking to her and seeing her every day, you're not building up anticipation, which should make it easier for just be like, okay, I guess I'll see you, it's whatever. No excitement, all right? So again, scale it down to once a week. You have a good time with her. You go away for a couple of days where you don't text her or call her. Then you hit her up again. Hey, so-and-so, let's meet up. I'd love to take you out for this time, blah, 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 blah. Treat it like you're starting your date all over again, okay? Now, what's going to happen is this. if you're in the habit of talking to her every day, seeing her every day, if she is starting to realize and recognize, oh crap, we're only seeing each other once a week. Oh man, he's not talking to me on the phone as much. Oh man, like what she's gonna start to be is like, she might start asking you questions like, hey, so like, I haven't heard from you in a while, what's going on? What does that mean? It means that she's starting to miss you, and because now she's trying to ask you about, can there be more communication? See, up to this point, she hasn't had to ask the question because you're freely giving it to her. You're just freely telling her I love you, freely talking to her on the phone all the time, freely taking her out all these days. And you're not in the process making her recognize that your time is valuable and it's actually worth her working for a little bit. So as you back off, you'll start to notice things like, hey, so like, I haven't talked to you in a while, like, is everything okay? Or she'll say, hey, I've only seen you like once this week. Like, I was thinking maybe you could come over and we could do blah, 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 blah. All right? So ideally, that's a start, is just focus on seeing her once a week and not talking to her too much between those dates, and see if she starts to reach out to you. Now, I'm suggesting you do this, and you might very well think, you know what, Harry, I'm gonna try that out. And you're gonna attempt to do it, and there's gonna be part of you that's gonna be like, ooh, this isn't working, I'm gonna call, because you haven't practiced this before. Like, I'm 40 years old, I have practiced not talking to women for like 2-3 weeks at a time, months at a time, years at a time, only to reach out and contact them, and they're ready to see me again. So I'm in the practice of already knowing that this can work, but you're not. So recognize that as you're doing these things, it's gonna be a new thing for you to practice. So what's gonna happen is your subconscious is gonna try to trick you into thinking, let me just reach out to her real quick, or well, maybe I should suggest 2 dates this week. Dude, you're already at the point where the stuff you're doing is not working. So it only behooves you to practice trying something else, because the worst that can happen is you end up in the same place you're already at. But the best thing that can happen is you end up in a better place where she starts reaching out to you, where she starts suggesting dates, and where she starts seeing you as less needy, and where she starts coming on to you for a little hookup action, okay? So practice doing that, and then let me know. You can write to me, obviously, and let me know what your results and stuff are. And if you've joined the academy, I'll get back to you right away. If not, I'll get back to you in one of these videos. But the point is, practice being more patient. Practice also not saying every single emotional freaking thought you're having, dude. We hear this thing about women want us to be more vulnerable and open, but what they really mean when they say that is that they want us to be cool with them when they're being vulnerable and they're overly emotional. Women do not want their men to be overly emotional, okay? So you expressing all these things, I love you so much and I care about you, and why can't you be with me, and blah, 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 blah. She doesn't actually want that. She wants to feel those things, but she's not gonna feel it when she's seeing it from you, and it's looking kind of feminine, and she wants a masculine guy. So stop telling her all of your emotions. Just stop. She doesn't want to hear them. I'm serious. She wants to feel from you that you care, and she can get those feelings when you're taking her out, showing her a good time, touching up on her, hooking up with her. But you verbally expressing all these things to her, at where you guys are at in your relationship right now, you need to take that off the table altogether. I'm telling you. And some people think oh, you know what you need? Why can't he be emotional? I'm just telling you as a guy, from my experience, women aren't turned on by that. They're just not. So if you're trying to turn your potential girlfriend on here, then let her, of the two of you, be the more emotional one. Let her be the one to come to you and express how she's feeling. You shouldn't be doing that. That is feminine energy. She wants a masculine guy. So let her do the feminine energy stuff, and you'll probably start to get better results. All right? So hopefully, guys, this helps you out a little bit. And hopefully that wasn't too rough when you again, I wish somebody had talked to me like this. My dad wasn't here to talk to me like this about women. So I'm trying to give it to you because maybe you didn't have that masculine influence that you needed to be able to properly know what your energy should be like around women to keep them around, okay? And that's feminine energy you're showing. You're showing a lot of feminine energy. So something as simple as, again, being patient, backing off from to only 1 date a week, not being on the phone with her all the time, not expressing all these emotions will probably help you out a whole lot, all right? So thanks, guys, for watching. Be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel at youtube.com/HarryWilmington. Like this video. Also, check out the Introvert Dating Success Membership Academy. A lot of the stuff I talked to this guy about is because there's a lack of knowledge. And there's a lot of knowledge. It's like the Netflix of dating advice, this bad boy, okay? Hundreds of hours of dating advice and tips that are designed to help you date as your authentic, introverted self while still getting your precious alone time, all right? So check that out. 2-day free trial when you sign up. I'm Harry Wilmington, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. I'm out. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Introvert Dating Success Podcast. Visit us at introvertdatingsuccess.com for more great tips on attracting women using your natural introvert charm. Oh, yeah.